Lee and Sherry here, and we're here to talk to you about really how do you find your true self? What does it mean to truly love myself?
Well, what does it mean is the answer to the question. Meaning, how you accept, forgive, adapt, understand, how much you do all of those things with compassion for yourself. I mean, it doesn't make sense to say, I have no problem, I love myself, and then turn around and go, I don't deserve. Or say, I'm nothing, I gotta put everybody else's feelings before my own. I mean, that's in a form rejection, or the energy of rejection, and also the form of abandonment of the self.
We hear it all the time in coaching. I do love myself, but I wait until they pop on the computer all day. I'm checking, or I really, really, really want to heal. Then will they come back? If you're healing for somebody else, you're not really healing.
Let's talk about healing, because I really think or feel that what comes into healing stays into healing, not healed, not fixed, or not I did that a long time ago, or some of the statements that we like to follow suit with. Because healing is something that if you're not in it, you're not a part of what we're saying is when it comes to giving yourself love. We all make choices, and some of the choices that we make, we end up making our punishment, or making something we have to endure, or making it a reason as to why we don't get the love that we get. Because we, of course, expect all of that to happen when we're with the one, or when we're whole with the person we're supposed to be with. But you've been whole already. And your healing has always been there waiting for you to realize that. And that's why it always needs to stay current. And there's always deeper ways to keep going into healing. Some of the things that I would tell you that we hear the most is that it's always about everything that goes on outside, but never about what's causing the point of origin to take place on the inside. Because if you're experiencing pain from something that's going on outside you, how would you know that is pain, or can relate that to a pain, unless in here, something in here is causing the pain too? It has to have both. It doesn't exist just in one. It exists in both places. So, an example of that would be like what we went through when it came to the healing that we both needed to be in, to be together. And it really always was, I guess the word I'm looking for, the best one I could use is the flip-flop that kept happening. Where I could claim, I'm healed, you're still broken, I'm healed, and you're broken. Or we even hear that from others. Oh, they'll never get it. They're just not going to wake up. They're never going to wake up. They just don't get it. They don't understand what this is. It's almost like you're asking the universe to show you just that, and that's what the universe shows you, then you suffer in it. In other words, you end up becoming, and I love this more than anything, morally superior to reality. Meaning that because you've made these statements and this is how you're going to view anything outside you, that's the way it is. Instead of just accepting what is. Acceptance of what is, which is healing, which is love. Accepting everything, no matter what, is love. Doesn't matter all the things that you have in place of it. I'm alone. I'm alone is an identity and an identity crisis. And when we see it, I mean, it's usually that's what you get to hear until you call attention to the ego that has created this status or this identity of alone. You can be alone, okay? But the voice that's telling you you're alone, who's listening? Is the soul there watching this actually experience it? Then realize that there's two watching, the thinker and the knower, watching one another. The thinker usually overrides everything because it's the loudest. Let's face it. Your knower, your soul, is going to be quiet for the most part. It's what happens when you experience it.
I agree. But how do I love myself?
Well, if you accept yourself, questions such as, I can't tell anybody about this connections, or I can't explain this to my family because my family's not going to understand. And let's make sure we got this right. If you are loving yourself, explaining yourself to anybody should come from that place of love, shouldn't it?
Yeah, and if you're loving yourself, you shouldn't care what the hell they're doing. If you're not together, if you're not with them, you should give a shit less what they're doing.
She said it, I didn't.
I mean, in all reality, if you're spending your time trying to fix yourself so you can get the attention of your twin or your soul connection or your partner, you're not doing it for the right reasons anyway, and it's not real.
Could you explain or elaborate
Yes,
on that?
because I did it a million times. How many times were we in separation and I went through 50 million awakenings and no, I love myself, only to just continue to beat myself up and not love myself when you came back.
No.
Only to love you more. I don't love you more than I love me.
Uh-oh. How's that going to work out?
I really don't.
Really, how does that ever really work out?
The only way that you can be in real, true union is to love yourself more.
That's powerful. Because if you think about it, what are you giving the other person if you don't love yourself more? Isn't that what should come into question?
And if you're doing it for true, genuine reasons, then the true, genuine energy comes out. But if you're doing it for false and manipulative reasons, that energy is going to come out. And believe me, if you're spiritually connected, they're going to know the difference. They're going to know.
And that brings up another point, spiritual connection. If your spirituality is expanding, then shouldn't your language, shouldn't the way that you speak, shouldn't the way that you approach things, shouldn't it be the way that you talk about things? I mean, of course, given how when we went through what we went through, it was really interesting because when I would come around some family that had heard about all the bad stuff I was doing, they didn't hear enough about the good stuff. So what ends up happening is it becomes out of balance because the growth that's actually happening during the times that the growth actually does happen, you're not sharing that either. You're not sharing it equally. You'll share all the bad stuff because that's what we've been prone to do with family. Family's always going to be there for you. Or are they? See, it is about balance. It is about being able to express truly what you feel for all of the ways that you feel, of all of the things that you're experiencing. A true connection and just simply saying, Mom, Dad, I'm truly connected. I've never experienced anything like this. I've never felt this way before. And I've heard of things that said this was possible. But how come the vibrations that I'm feeling, I can feel this other person? That's different. That doesn't really need any logical explanation. It explains something that's happening on the inside of you, not the other person. If you're saying, oh, this other person makes me whole, no. If that's getting the ego needs met. That's an ego need and want. My ego's needs and wants will be met when I'm with this other person.
Everything will be fine when we're together.
Really?
No, it won't.
That's like the awakening of the ego after you go into the bubble phase. Or
It'll
the
actually
honeymoon
get
phase.
worse. Wait a minute. Let's tell them the truth.
Okay.
It'll get worse once you get together. Worse. Because then it's two egos battling it out. And it can get ugly. Really ugly. Furniture starts getting moved and glasses start getting broke and dishes start getting thrown and such. It just happens like that. People cut each other off. They go to the restrooms and lock themselves in there and start crying. And it gets really, really bad once you're together. If you're both not in healing.
And healing also gives permission for the true transformation of telepathy to actually work correctly. In other words, what you're thinking somebody is going to be, or what they're going through, or what they're stating, their communication will flow through to help you understand their energy in the moment they're in it. Not you trying to read their mind, but their true voice comes through.
It's the thing I don't understand, and I was the number. I may have even created this. I don't know, in another life, but I don't love myself because of so many reasons. I have hair on my face, or I'm overweight, or I'm losing my hair, or I've got 10 fingers on one hand. There's so many different things. People are different. Things happen. People get extra fingers, and stuff happens, and then you feel like it's weighing you down. I got more chins than a Chinese phone book. However, I love myself enough to only have one chin, so I'm going to take care of that. I'm just saying. But don't wait to love yourself until... I don't wait to love myself till after I get rid of the chins. I love myself and my chins.
And because she loves herself, it allows me to love her. Get it? It's what we talk about, what we allow. And even let's classify, or at least finally give a stronger definition to what true surrender is. True surrender is not allowing your mind to dictate anything. And not make your present moment into an enemy. Not making it about another person who's not with you, making it about other things that are going on in your life that are not under your control. Your mind, surrender. That's it. That's what we're saying. When we say surrender, that's what we're talking about. We're in the same phrase, letting go.
Don't start singing that song, please.
We already did that. Let's go to letting go. Let's talk about let's go. Let's go is what happens when you're coming into this connection and you're feeling it and you're going, oh my God, now we gotta have the house, the car, the wife, the kids, and then you're waiting for the other person to have all of those same thoughts, and you start going along this pace. Some people even want, I want this to be a relationship. Again, you're in connection. Relationship rules don't apply to connection. They just don't. You can try and make it that way, but that's not what this is. This is more of a spiritual connection that utilizes the energy of the connection to bring you closer together for acceptance, for honoring one another, for healing, for true love to flourish.
We would never make it in a relationship. Somebody would be dead.
Is this when I can pull out the switchblade?
You don't know
Right.
a switchblade.
See, in a relationship, she would know that.
We wouldn't get along in a relationship. We didn't get along in a relationship.
No, we didn't. And the thing about when you have a relationship is, you have that, you got to play a role. You'll be who I want you to be, I'll be who you want me to be, and You're going to supply this and I'll supply
It's
that.
always about pleasing the other person first.
And never about.
In a connection, it's about pleasing yourself. Wait a minute, that sounded bad. It's about.
But it works.
It's really about loving yourself first and above and over, which in turn, believe it or not, brings it full circle to loving the other person, or loving your twin or your spiritual connection, or whatever you want to call it, first, because then it becomes one. When I am in deep love with myself, that's when I'm really more connected to you. And all the daily stuff that goes on around a household in the 3D doesn't even take effect in a connection. It's a team. It's an effort. It's just.
And it has to be. It has to be in unison.
Yes.
United in this connection is what reunion or union is all about. Being in the you, the capital U itself. Because if you are not all in, you are going to have a separate thought process. You're going to keep something inside. You're not going to share what you're feeling. You're not going to share what you're thinking. Disaster. Mm-hmm. And what usually happens is the way that you want to word it never comes through, because of the way that you do word it always has to do with the other person's responses to you, never about what your response to you is. Let me say that again, because I don't think this is deep, and I really want you to hear what I'm saying. How you communicate out in the world is not how you communicate inside yourself. Get that right first. Because if you're starting to, or you're finding yourself saying, oh, I know I can't say this, or I can't say that. Listen to the conversation that's happening within to hear the correct words of what you're meaning to say. Then let those be the ones that flow.
We'll give them an example.
Okay.
Lee and I even still, I feel like we graduate from stages still, and we go through things, and where when we first came into union, there were still egos involved. Although they were diminishing, they were still there, and they were still arguing, and they were still bickering, and they were still biting with words and such. It diminishes over time to where now, it was probably a week or so ago, I don't know what happened. I woke up in this annoyance energy that was just annoyed. I just was annoyed. I was aware that I was annoyed. I was conscious that I was annoyed. I was conscious that I had the choice to be annoyed or to not be annoyed. And I chose to just remain in the annoyance energy. And I came down to the office, and our normal regular morning routine when we get up and we get ready and get the coffee and get ready to go into session, the pen wasn't working, or it's dumb stuff. And I came down and I was throwing pens, and I was bitchy, and I was just annoyed, and I was just frustrated. And it wasn't anything Lee had done. Nothing. And I was conscious that I didn't want to attack him or blame it on him. Oh, I wanted to blame it on him because he was the easiest to blame it on. But I was conscious to try not to do that. And I'm sitting here, like right next to him in this energy, just grabbing cups and slamming them down. And it was everything. The placemat was crooked, or the internet wasn't fast enough, or the pens didn't work. And what I was expecting, which would have happened before, was for him to step in that energy and we both be annoyed, and then that would have been ugly. Because then we would have been two egos just fighting and fighting. While I was basking in my egoic annoyance, he was sitting in complete peace. And that was pissing me off. But anyway, that was making me even more annoyed. But I knew that I had the choice to either step into his energy because he apparently wasn't coming into mine. And so I just looked at him and said, hey, look, I'm just annoyed. I'm just annoyed. And it's not you. I'm just irritated. I'm irritated as hell. I choose to be irritated in this moment. I feel like I need to get some irritation out. And I know the tools. I know how to not be irritated. I just want to be irritated right now. And he was like, well, okay, well, then be irritated. You're not affecting me at all. So, yeah, you did some clearing and actually, even after clearing, I decided to be irritated the rest of the day. And even into the night, I was irritated and he stayed in peace. And he did not go into his ego and he did not take it personally. And he gave me the space to be irritated in that energy. And I went to bed irritated and he held me and that irritated me. And, but anyway, I woke up and it was a brand new day and it was not an irritating day. And I was grateful to him for allowing me that space to be irritated instead of jumping into it and being irritated with me. And then when you come into union like that, the further along into union you are, the more things are diminishing. There's sometimes words of annoyance, but there's the arguing, or there's no more fighting. The fighting is gone. The arguing is 15 minutes. Like, no, you, no, you, no, you. Well, then we both. And then we go on about our day. It's over. We don't go into full-fledged argumentation or conflict or crisis anymore. We just don't do that. We were. We have graduated, for lack of better terms.
I don't think
evolved?
Expanded.
Expanded.
Expansion
okay.
is always,
yeah.
I think, a better word.
Yeah.
The graduated thing kind of, I get it, but at the same time, we're in this world and we don't have to be of it. So we're not going to using words that make it seem like it's higher or lower or this or that or you graduated in this, but we're still in school.
Always
don't get that wrong.
Always.
We're always going. As a matter of fact, we're not leaving school. We will purposely fail to stay in this class. Just kidding. But the art of surrender,
right,
of not wanting to change another person's energy,
right. And the thing is, he's mad. Why are you mad? What did I do? Why are you mad? Is there something I said? Is it something I did? Why are you mad? Why can't you just not be mad? Why can't you just not be mad? Why can't you just be nice? Why can't you just be a good guy? Why can't you just be a nice guy? Why do you have to be an asshole? Why do you have to be a dick? Why are you running around being a... I wasn't going to say...
And that's usually when you snap, right?
And that's usually like,
what?
Right.
Now we lose our shit on that one.
Now, it's just letting the other person be in that energy. And now it's to the point where if I can tell that you're in a space, and it's few and far between, but if I can tell that you're in a space and you're just an annoyance, I'll just let you be.
Yeah, but there's also when you're in your peaceful space, and energy like that comes inside of that space and you don't want it in there, and you snap. And then you can go back to being in peace. And I think that really frustrates her because she can come in and she may be snappy and she comes into that energy field and it's like, and then I go, and then I go back to my peace.
I wasn't done.
It's like, right.
I wasn't
well, what
done.
the hell's wrong with you? That's the response I get.
Done.
But it's also very positive that it happens because without being able, because we both are in love with our egos. We get it. We understand the thought processes. We understand why we have them. We understand, and we make them transparent. We make sure that they're exposed. We even expose them to you guys. But one of the things that we really found to be our truth, that helps us stand in that truth, is never ever allow the rules of the ego to dictate and control our connection. Because it just doesn't have that kind of power.
That's all about loving yourself first. I love myself enough to give you that space and just be in my peace. You love yourself enough not to come into my irritable energy. You love yourself too much. You don't have to be in there.
That's not going in there to change it.
There's those times. I like
but,
that.
I mean, but there's also.
Family show.
But
You sound like Porky Pig right now. Blah, blah.
I was lost in that whole. Never mind. I would say that surrender to what your expectations are is what surrender is. And in this particular case, even when we have moments like that, or even when your twin is coming back and they're trying to find an easier way to come in the door, and they're testing the waters, and you're losing patience because they're not going fast enough. Stop doing that because
What they're expecting is what you're doing. That's just it. What they're not expecting you to love yourself enough or love yourself more than to do the things that you were doing in the first place. They're not expecting that. They're expecting you to be in your same behavior. That's why they're testing the water. They're putting the foot in to see, oh, this is the reaction I got, or this is different. But here we go, doing the same thing. Even if it's a week or month later, you still do it. They're still waiting for you to do it, and you still do it. When can you get off the hamster wheel and stay off the hamster wheel? There's a difference in jumping off and jumping back on, and jumping off and jumping back on, and then just disabling the wheel altogether. And we tend to get emails like that over and over and over again, like I'm stuck. This has been going on for 10 years. We've been doing this, we've been doing that, we've been doing this, and it's a cycle that keeps repeating itself over and over and over. You haven't loved yourself enough to get off the hamster wheel.
And the hamster wheel doesn't have anything to do with the other person. It has to do with the things, the behaviors that you're doing to yourself that you will create or keep, thinking that's what's going to bring you together, not realizing that it is giving you the definition of insanity. Repeating the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. We all do that.
Insane is the same thing as batshit crazy. Just letting you guys know.
Batshit crazy.
Right.
I hope, and we both hope, that what you experience in being connected shows you the truth that where you're supposed to be connected in here first. And that's to love yourself first, no matter what.
And please stop trying to love yourself for ulterior motives.
Oh,
please stop.
That's a whole other video.
Please stop trying to love yourself for ulterior motives. Start preaching.
Yeah, I know. Okay, let him have 2 minutes. Give him 30 seconds, because if not, we gotta shut this off.
It doesn't make any sense.
And then I gotta get it.
It just doesn't make any sense. And you know
what do you mean by ulterior motives?
Ulterior motives. If I start to love myself and I start to take care of myself, well, they'll come back and they'll notice a difference.
You only do half the work. You don't even do half the work. You do a quarter of the work. When you will make
you go get a haircut and drop 25 pounds.
Ulterior motive. Well, the self-work, the work of the things that you need to go in and do, the things that we know is what we're here to help people understand and go into and stand in it with them. That energy is something for you, because the way that you view things, the way that you will say and act and respond, you don't even see that you could be all trapped up in this energy of runner, chaser, narcissist, you name it. You will have every element of these things trapped inside you, not even realizing that you're pointing at the other person when it doesn't have anything to do with them at all.
Accept this challenge for the new year. Screw dropping 25 pounds off your physical body and take 25 pounds off of your inner soul, of the junk that you have in there.
Yep, the ego challenge.
Get rid of 25 pounds of bullshit.
Ooh. Yikes.
That's what you do for the new year. That's love. That's love. And it only makes sense. But
well, if you got $5, I'll make change.
oh, for heaven's sakes, what?
Nothing. Everybody else got it.
Nobody got it.
Yes, they did.
I didn't get it.
The ego did.
Your ego got it.
All egos get it.
Okay.
Yes. Because an ego really doesn't even understand how to make change. But we're telling you, that's how you make change.
Oh, I got it. Change, not change. I got it. It took me a minute. Because my ego's not activated. There it was.
My twin. You can keep her.
I come with Big Mike.
Whoa, hey, time. He's sleeping.
All right. Well, we will leave you to that mess of a video and hope it helped.
If not, don't worry. There's more to come.
Just stop loving yourself for all the wrong reasons.
And love yourself for all the right
Right.
ones. And love everything. I mean, what's the point of going your whole life not? What's the whole point of being here and experiencing a connection that enables you to have that? Oh, I mean, I get it.
If you're being mistreated, rejected, abused, beat down, tore up, not becoming first with somebody, or I mean, not what it was that I'm looking for. I don't know, being somebody else's not first choice. I don't know, you know, if they're married and they won't leave their other people to be with you, if you're stuck in a situation where you're feeling any of those things, abused, yelled at, screamed at, tore up, beat down, love yourself enough to love yourself enough to get the hell away from that and be yourself.
I got nothing. Spot on. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah? She said hallelujah.
We watch too much video.
Yes, you do. All right.
All right.
We're going to wrap this one up. Mm-hmm. But don't
Love
worry.
yourself enough.
Yeah.
Love yourself
Enough.
enough.
More than.
Find your worth.
You're worth a lot.
Bye.